Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. This is the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. We're going to be talking about David De Gea, transfer listed by Manchester United. Lots of reports that Manchester United have put David De Gea on the list this summer. He's available at the right price. We'll be talking about whether that's the right choice and how that might happen. Also, Jaden Sancho spoken about leaving Dortmund this summer, and so has Michael Zorg. He's spoken after Dortmund's win today. So interesting about Sancho and whether he could be coming to Manchester United again. We'll talk about that. Also, Chelsea winning, a bit of pressure on United for top four now, but Leicester losing last night. Bit about the Super League as well. Threats been based towards Manchester United and other clubs saying, if you leave the Super League, which we already have, then there will be repercussions. This is coming from Real Madrid, Juventus and Barcelona as well. So lots and lots to get into. Already people not happy about De Gea being sold. We'll talk about that. But of course, top left-hand corner, it's Saturday night. We're sponsored by Manscaped. Precision engineering for your family jewels. Trim your grass to make your yard look bigger. 20% off. United Stand 20 is the code. Go through the link in the video description. United Stand 20. I've got the product here. Fantastic product. Very, very good quality product as well. And you will not be disappointed by this. Look, it's a bit of a touchy subject. Well, actually, don't touch it. You've just got to groom it. But leave that for somebody else. But it's a bit of a touchy subject with some people. But male grooming in that area can make a big difference. And it can make a big difference in more ways than one. So the link's in the video description. United Stand 20 is the code. And also, not just that, I always like to plug this one as well. Not literally. That would be hideous. You could plug that if you wanted to. But I plug it in a way that it's very, very good. It's a nasal trimmer. Which is absolutely fantastic. Really good quality product, like I say. Both come with a charger. You can do your ears if you're really old. I know we do get some people over 50. That might work for you as well. So that's really good, the nasal trimmer. When you get to a certain age, pain in the backside, you look in the mirror and there's a big, like a forest up your nose. So you just go like that. Clear it out once a week. That's fantastic. I'm not going to do that one live on air, but you get the idea. It's waterproof as well. Comes with an LED light. Fantastic stuff. My tip is do it in the shower before you've had a shower and then put the shower on and then it all goes down the plug hole. Link in the video description. United Stand 20. Check it out, Manscaped. Really good products. Right, on with the show. David De Gea. Manchester United exit. This has been going on for a while. This is probably not massive news, but I think it's relevant news when you look at that performance on Thursday night. And I think the resonating thing for me is why. Why would we be doing this? Talk this morning in Italian press that George Mendes, who's the agent of David De Gea, has been in discussions with, I think it's Roma, about David De Gea going there. Obviously, Jose Mourinho, a big fan of David De Gea, played very well for Mourinho and obviously was his first choice goalkeeper. He's only 30 years of age, David De Gea, and I want to say this first of all. 30, I mean, look, people want Cavani to stay for another year. He's 34 and he's a striker. A goalkeeper at 30, even if you compare them to an outfield player, they're still in their prime. But for a goalkeeper, 30 is like being 25. A goalkeeper comes into their prime at about 35. So, that's probably a lie, actually. I'd say a goalkeeper's in their prime between probably 30 and 35. So De Gea's really only coming into his prime as a goalkeeper. And as we know, goalkeepers can play till 40 if they want to. So David De Gea's in his prime. And he's got many more years of his prime to come. I'm sure Roma would like him. I'm sure Mourinho would like him. But the problem Roma have got is the fee. The fee for Manchester United has to be for a goalkeeper that Ollie described as one of the best in the world only 2 nights ago. You're looking at around 40 to 50 million pounds. He's got 3 years left on his contract. This is not a player we should be letting go cheap. It would be a travesty, a criminal travesty in footballing terms to let David De Gea go on the cheap just because we're paying him a lot of money. But many reports are saying that Manchester United have basically put it out there that David De Gea is available this summer. Now, ideally, what Manchester United want is a PSG or somebody to come in and go, there's 40 million quid and we'll pay David De Gea the wages that he's being paid now. Because from De Gea's point of view, he doesn't need to take a pay cut. He's on 350k a week. He's our best earner. He's not even 2 years in to a 5-year contract. This new contract we gave him was less than 2 years ago. And we are looking to sell our number one goalkeeper and also get money in a COVID market. My fear with De Gea is that we will loan him to Roma, which would be disgusting because I agree we've got to get we've got to let one of our goalkeepers go. We cannot have this situation next season where David De Gea and Dean Henderson are fighting it out for one role. You know, a goalkeeper is a goalkeeper, and you stick with your goalkeeper, and you have a backup goalkeeper, and you have a first choice goalkeeper. And this season, it's been blurry. It's been really blurry as to who is the first choice goalkeeper. So next season, we've got to go with one of them. The problem we've got is we can't go with one of them and, you know, expose the idiocy of what we've done this year. The ideal scenario with this goalkeeping situation is one of them gets sold this summer and we get money into the transfer window. If we end up loaning David De Gea, we basically look idiots because we don't get any money for him and we're actually going to pay him to go and play for somebody else when he's good enough to be our number one. So whatever happens here, and look, it might be a decision I don't agree with, and I'll say why in a minute, and many of you probably don't agree with it. But whatever happens, if we are going to let a goalkeeper go, we've got to get the money. We've got to get the money because you can't loan one of them. We need money to spend on a CDM, on a centre-back, on a right winger. There's £40 million for one of those. You know, they're both worth 40 million, maybe 50 million, but they're both worth 40 million. We've got to get 40 million from one of those goalkeepers this summer. We cannot let them go on the cheap because this is why I've always said this about the Glazers. Obviously, they're not a good thing for Manchester United, but they don't employ the right people either. We need a football decision here. We can't be loaning him to Roma. We can't be loaning him anywhere. If they're selling him, then they've got to get money for him. I don't know what you think about De Gea. A lot of people saying, well, you know, I wouldn't let him go in the first place. For me, I would ask the question why this is happening in the first place. I'm genuinely worried about letting De Gea go. I wonder why this is happening because to me it feels like it's coming from people in the dressing room who haven't even, you know, I don't think they've proved themselves as much as David De Gea is. And I'm not going to name any names here because it's not about that. But this is about having an opinion, and we've all got an opinion. So I'm not witch hunting any player here, but the things I've heard, and to be fair, it's been in the press as well. Grant says, who in their right mind loans out quality David De Gea? This has been in the press a lot anyway, but I've heard it as well, that there are people in the dressing room who want Henderson to be the goalkeeper over David De Gea. Now, that's fine. You know, you can make that decision. You can have that opinion. But my issue with it is, as David De Gea showed on Thursday night, that's probably one of our best performances, individual performances of the season by a player. I think when we sit back at the end of the season and you go, right, name the best 5 performances this season from games, I think people will go De Gea against Roma in the semi-final. So David De Gea has put in one of the best individual performances of the season for Manchester United, and we're looking to sell him. But not only that, you've got people in the team saying we want Henderson in goal. My question, if I was Ollie, would be, who's telling me to put Henderson in goal? Because I know David De Gea is a world-class player. So why am I listening to people telling me to drop De Gea? And who are these people telling me it? Because are these people winners, proven winners at United? Is it Wayne Rooney? Is it Roy Keane? Is it Gary Neville telling me to put Henderson in goal? Or is it players that maybe they're not good enough or not proved themselves yet? So I'd be looking at that. Why is it that they want to go with Henderson over De Gea? But the big risk with Henderson, and I do think Henderson's a really good goalkeeper, and I think, look, he could be world class. And look, Ollie must be allowed to make his decision on this. But my concern about Henderson is that we saw a couple of weeks ago, over-eager, running out his box, you know, a little bit flappy on crosses because he's eager to impress. And being a goalkeeper, you will make mistakes, but it's that, can he do that? Look, I like Henderson. And I think he is going to be our goalkeeper next year, and I think we're going to sell De Gea. So we better, you know, get behind him, and that's what we will do. But he's played well for Sheffield United. Has he played in front of 75,000 fans at Old Trafford in a game against Liverpool where we're winning 1-0 and they're peppering him from shots and everywhere in the last 5 minutes? It's a different type of pressure to Sheffield United. As we saw against Milan, that mistake at the end, you know, he's going to make mistakes. And that's got to be taken on board. If we put Twansebi at centre-back, I would expect mistakes, but you stick by them. But the issue with this is, this would be like having, I don't know, Ruben Diaz at centre-back and selling him because you want to play Twansebi. And I think that's the best way of saying it. It could work out, But Ruben Diaz is a top-class, world-class centre-back. And we have got a goalkeeper like that in David De Gea. And what we're basically saying is you're going because we believe that this young lad really is going to be better than you. And it's a big risk. It's a really big risk. Roy Keane is always saying David De Gea is not good enough, says Sayed. Yeah, but he doesn't play for Manchester United. He's not in the dressing room, so you missed the point, really. Maybe they're trying to get rid of David because of his salary. They will save a lot and hopefully invest in other players, says Saga. I think you might be right with the first bit. Maybe they're trying to get rid of him because of his salary because they're trying to save money. That might be a good point. I don't think they're going to save his salary. Actually, I disagree with you on that, Saga. Explain to me this. Riddle me this. How are we not going to lose money on David De Gea? Who is going to buy a player the footballing world knows we want to sell? Who's going to swoop in and go, there's 50 million and there's 350k a week, David, let's go. They're going to come in and they're going to go, we know you want to sell. We'll take him on loan for a year and see what we think. Or we'll give you 20 million now. And that's not enough, is it? So one way or another, I think we're going to lose a lot of money on David De Gea, which again reflects very badly on the football club. But I suppose the thing is, and I'd ask the live comments with this, how do you feel about it? Maguire said he would prefer David De Gea, says Owen. I've not heard that, Owen, and I'd love to know when he said that. Mark, how come Hendo is only worth 40 million though? How come English tax doesn't work in our favour, but we have to pay 70, 80, 90 million for Maguire, Rice and co? Because the goalkeeper, AG Singh. It's a good moment to sell him after a good year of his. We don't know if De Gea can sustain it anymore. It's a good time to market him now, says Delicate Official. Mate, it's this nonsense that really winds people up. We don't know whether he can sustain it anymore. I've just told you he's 30 years of age. A goalkeeper's prime is 30 to 35. Why is David De Gea going to be different to any other goalkeeper in the last 50 years? Why is he going to plummet at 30? He's a goalkeeper. So that's a load of nonsense. As for it's a good time to sell him, it's a terrible time to sell him. We're in a COVID financial crisis. Who's going to pay him 350 quid a week and give us 40 million? It's a terrible time to sell him. For many reasons. But if the club think they're going to do it, we're going to have to go along with it. When David De Gea came first, there were many doubts over him as well. Also, what are your thoughts on players returning on loan? Lingard, Delot, Pereira. Well, I've got no thoughts on that, Akshay, because I'm mid-comment about De Gea at the moment. Mark Fletch mentioned last night United to move for Belling over Sancho. Any truth in that? I don't think so, Grant. I'm going to talk about Sancho in a minute. Mark, don't you think it's one of the defenders? Because why would attackers care about the goalkeepers? Maybe Maguire, says Jay Lane's fan. I can tell you categorically it's not Cavani, Bruno, Pogba who want De Gea out of the team. So you're right, it's not attackers. Have you heard the rumour that De Gea and Oblak could swap teams? Maybe De Gea is the one who wants to leave to live in Spain, says Paul Not Nice. You see, that sort, and that's an angle I did want to bring in. If De Gea is pushing this move, then there may be something we can do. And if you wanted to swap Oblak for De Gea, let's bring it on. But I can't see that being the case. And I would say as well, I do think that David De Gea openly wanted to go back to Spain. I believe that's where his partner and his child are. Obviously, he went back there for the birth of his child. And I think he's always made it clear that he would love to go back and live in Spain. But what appears to me to be the case is that he's very happy in Manchester if he's not in Spain. And what we're looking at here is nobody from Spain is going to buy David De Gea. So we are clearly moving David De Gea against his will. Because why would he want to go to Paris? Why would he want to go to Italy? Why would he want to go anywhere else other than Spain? So it's interesting. I think you need to get your head around this is going to happen. But I think that the problem I have with it is that Thursday... I'm Team De Gea anyway. And I am Team Dean Henderson. I do really like him. But if you're asking me to make a choice, this is football. It's not like you're on a boat and it's two family members who you're chucking in the sea and driving away from. This is football. Football is about decision. It's about debate. It's about having favourites. And David De Gea is one of my favourite players at the club, so I'm always going to be loyal to him. But I also believe he's still one of the best goalkeepers in the world. And I think on Thursday night, he showed he's one of the best goalkeepers in the world. And to me, it just doesn't, just before we move on to Sancho, if I'm absolutely honest, it just doesn't sit right to let a player go who is in their prime, who has been a United great, who has got loads of years left, and is clearly still one of the best goalkeepers in the world. It doesn't make sense. Would we have done this with Wayne Rooney at 27? Would we have sold Rooney at 27? to, play Marcus Rashford? Would we have sold Gary Neville at 28 to bring through Wes Brown? I know you can do it and teams do it, but this is not a 38-year-old David De Gea. This is a 30-year-old who's just this week put in one of the best performances. It just seems a risk to me. But I've got to be consistent on this. It's only what I and many other people were saying last summer, that this was going to end in tears. We never should have gone into a season with two fantastic goalkeepers that have to share the load. It was always going to end in tears, and I think it is going to end in tears one way or another. Owen Briffer says, last game interview against Roma said Maguire Mark. Says Owen, I don't think Maguire said that he prefers De Gea. I can't imagine that. And he shouldn't say that because it's not fair on Henderson. Mark, how come Hendo's? I've done that one. Mark, we've done that one. Have you heard the room there? Yeah, I've done that one. Sorry, Mark, off topic, but Samari done deal with Leicester, so do we have a chance with Ndidi? I mean, what a good signing. Can I just say, we're just going to move and talk about Sancho. What a good signing that is for Leicester, again, if they've got Babakari Samari. This is a player we've spoken about on this channel a lot over the last couple of years. I'm not saying United should sign him, but look at Leicester's pedigree. Ndidi, Kante, Fofana. 3 players that they've brought in that have, then you look at them and you go, they're amazing. Are they about to do it again with Samari? And if they are about to do it with Samari, this is a player we've been talking about for 2 years on this show. Why are United not looking at that calibre of player to come into the team? So yeah, it looks like it could be another good signing for Leicester. We'll have to see. De Gea has kept his relevance since Sir Alex Ferguson left. He's won 4 Player of the Year awards and has always given his all. Shame on Ollie for listening to those who want Hendo, and shame on those who let this scenario transpire, says Salman. Well, look, I wouldn't say shame on Ollie and this, that and the other. A manager must make a decision, Salman. And they won't always be the decisions we want. I used to see Herrera get dropped for Fellaini and I hated it. But a manager is not you and it's not me. A manager must... I firmly believe that a manager should be allowed to make the decisions and a manager should get the players that they want. And I think as much as I didn't like Mourinho in the end and I didn't like Van Gaal in the end and I never really liked Moyes, I'd always stick up for them and say that they never got backed. They didn't get backed properly in the market. Yeah, money was spent, but it was never their first choice players. Very rarely. I mean, obviously Pogba was and a couple of others were, but the vast majority of the time it wasn't what they wanted. And look, whether you think De Gea should stay or whether you think Henderson should stay, the reality is the manager should be allowed to make the decision. And when this happens, if De Gea does sell, if he does sell De Gea and he goes with Henderson and next season it's a mistake, then Ollie has to live with that mistake. And he will be judged on that mistake, but hopefully that won't happen. But look, it's his decision to make, and that is the right thing, that he makes the decision. Who in the dressing room has the same agent as Henderson? That might give us a clue as to who is pushing for De Gea to be sold. I don't know. Evacuate. De Gea, so yeah, look, that's the situation with that. I think we all know this is going to happen. It's certainly been driven, I think, unfair. I mean, look, what I would say just quickly about this is nothing to do with Henderson and this is nothing to do with De Gea. There has clearly been a media-driven division for this for about 2 or 3 months. We've seen Sky pushing it, BT pushing it, Manchester Evening News have pushed it. They've really gone to town on De Gea's shit and Henderson's the best player in the world. That's not fair on Henderson and it's not fair on De Gea because it creates a divide when they actually factually get on really, really well. Goalkeepers spend a lot of time together training. They get on really, really well as individuals. This is not, both want to play for United, but they don't hate each other. They get on really, really well. The media created this and the fans have fallen into the trap. What I would say is, where's the media coming from? Because all I've seen this season is Henderson made a bad mistake against Sheffield United and AC Milan, and David De Gea made a couple of mistakes against Everton. That's it across the whole season. There's not been a clearly better goalkeeper. David De Gea hasn't had a clearly crap season. He's had a very good one. And Henderson's come in and done well when he's done it. He's had a good one. So I think the media have created a lot of this because they've basically picked the one that they want and then they've gone to town on the other one. And whether it's Roy Keane, Paul Scholes, Gary Neville, a journalist, whatever, I totally disagree with you. I think that De Gea's had a really good season. And I think on Thursday night, he sat the lot of you down because I don't think many goalkeepers in the world could put in that performance. We conceded 3 goals and our goalkeeper was man of the match by a long way. We should be not in the Europa League final. We're only in the Europa League final because of David De Gea. So I think he's a goalkeeper at the top of his game. I don't want him to go, but I think we need to prepare for it, unfortunately. Anyway, let's talk about Jaden Sancho. Smash a like on the video, by the way. Saturday night show. Let's have a bit of apple juice. So, Jaden Sancho, he spoke himself. Ashwin says we should have sold Rooney in 2013. De Gea was brilliant on Thursday, but that's not how we want to play. His style doesn't suit us anymore. What? What? That's not how we want to play. He's a goalkeeper. What's David De Gea got with how we play on Thursday? We played shit on Thursday. What are you talking about, Ashwin? I'm baffled. That's not how we want to play. A goalkeeper doesn't dictate how we play. He just plays and stops people from scoring goals. Did you see did you see the Glazer quote Rio pulled up from 2005? Mark, no, but if you want to give us it, that would be great. We'll move on from that one. I'm lost on that. Sancho, we're back on the game. So Michael Sork has spoken about Sancho and said that he's available. He's available at the right price. If people pay that price, Jaden Sancho can go. But at the moment, it's quiet. We hope it stays that way because we want him to stay. Jaden Sancho has come out today and said, look, I don't know what's going to happen in the summer. I'm happy at Dortmund. They gave me my first chance here and I love the club. So, that is basically Dortmund saying he is available. That is Sancho saying, I'm available. And it's about who's going to go for him. We believe the price for Sancho will be 75 to 80 million pounds, which I think is very reasonable. I think Sancho will go this summer. And if Man United don't go for him, I can see him probably being at Chelsea or something like that. So with Sancho, that is Dortmund basically saying Sancho can leave because they're saying he can leave if somebody pays us the fee. What they did say is that we said last year that Sancho wouldn't be leaving, and we're saying the same about Haaland. People can talk about it as much as they like, but Haaland's not going to leave Dortmund, I don't think. Dortmund will be in the Champions League. Mr. Awilo says that Hendo is not the finished product. He can turn out to be a bad keeper. He should be the understudy. No, I disagree on that. I think we've spoken positively about De Gea a lot. I want to speak positively about Henderson. He's too good to be an understudy. He's not a Tim Howard. He might not be this great goalkeeper, but he's certainly a Nick Pope. Nick Pope is one of England's best three keepers, and so is Dean Henderson. Dean Henderson, I think, is better than Pickford, who's Everton's first choice. How high Dean can play, we're going to find out. Many people think he can be one of the best goalkeepers in the world, which is why he will be United's number one. But he's definitely not a backup goalkeeper. He should never and will not sit there and say, I'm going to sit here and be De Gea's understudy like Romero or Tim Howard has been in years gone by. And obviously Tim Howard wasn't David De Gea's understudy, but you know what I mean. So I think Henderson, how good he's going to be, we don't know. But he's definitely like an Everton number one or a Wolves number one. Is he a Chelsea number one, a United number one? That's what United are gambling on. Only reason to let De Gea leave is if it's his own wish to go back to Spain to be with his new family. Nothing else. Any news on any DMs coming in? Rice, Mr. Glenn Johnson. There was talk of Declan Rice today. I was looking at something today about Declan Rice, and United are definitely interested in Declan Rice. But there are two big things about Declan Rice, and I'll come back to Sancho in a moment. There's two big things about Declan Rice. If West Ham get top four, which we'll talk about now, actually, in a moment, actually. And also, if Chelsea want Rice, he'll go there because he wants to go to Chelsea. So if Chelsea don't want Declan Rice and West Ham don't get top four, then United have got a chance if they want to spend the money. If Chelsea want Declan Rice, we won't get him. And if West Ham get top four, we won't get him. So if you want to get Declan Rice, you need Chelsea not to go for him and West Ham not to get Champions League football. Now, in relation to Champions League football, Chelsea won today. I think they're 3 points behind us now, but we've got a game in hand. So second place could be in jeopardy because we've got these bloody 3 games in 5 days and we could drop points. So remember, tomorrow's a 2 o'clock kickoff, by the way, and then we've got Leicester on Tuesday at 6 o'clock, Liverpool on the Thursday at 8:15. So we've got a lot of games to come, but Leicester losing last night means that we should be okay for top 4, but Leicester are now in problems. So look, it's getting little bit tight, but we should be okay. I think De Gea should stay for at least one more season, and Dean Henderson would learn more from De Gea as well, says Jack Lynch. See, I personally don't want to see Henderson and De Gea as our goalkeepers next year. I don't like this situation. I think one of them does have to go. And I think Ollie's right about that. He does need to let one of them go. Mark, do you think Leicester would do a swap deal plus cash involving Lingard and Ndidi? I would love Ndidi in the CDM spot. Yeah, I do like it, Ndidi, Jude, but I don't think there's any chance of it happening. And the quote from the Glazers in 2005, the fans are the lifeblood of the club. People want to know what's happening. We will be communicating. That's from 2005. Yeah, well, it just goes to show you can't trust them. Look, I saw this yesterday. Somebody tagged me into something today. It was bloody these... And it's such a shame because I think over the last couple of weeks we've had this unity in the fan base around what's going on with the Glazers. And I've had some really constructive sort of messages from people who they've never liked me or the content of the United Stand. They're very anti-Glazers, and they've messaged me and we've had discussions about stuff, and there's a real level playing field now. But I said something yesterday about the Glazer letter, and it's been totally, things get taken out of context all the time. And what I basically said is, and I've now been called pro-Glazer, which is just bloody ridiculous. If you've watched this show for 5 minutes, you'll know that's not the case. And I know a lot of people have been watching for a long time, and you'll know that's not the case. I don't want the Glazers to run this football club. I never have. But what I said is that if the Glazers said 51% of this club is going to be given to the fans, they can buy shares, but we're going to keep 49%, I would bite their hand off of that. And I would take that quite happily, because this is not the perfect scenario is the Glazers are gone altogether. Of course it is. But what people don't get is I don't really care if the Glazers give up 51% and keep 49%. I'm not bothered about that, because that would be very similar to the German model. And the Glazers would never be able to get anything done. They wouldn't get dividends. They wouldn't be able to increase the debt. They wouldn't be able to take us into a European Super League, because 51% of the club and the membership and the voting rights would be with the fans. And basically what would happen is the Glazers wouldn't keep 49% because they wouldn't be able to keep their dividends. They wouldn't be able to make the money. So that wouldn't happen. But what I'm saying is, if that was on offer, I would take it. But it would never be on offer, because they would lose all the power that they've got. And I don't trust that letter that came out yesterday, because it talks a little bit like those quotes about this, that and the other. But do you genuinely think people who are making so much money out of this football club are going to go, you know what, we're going to relinquish half of the club? I don't see them doing it. But if they did, I would take it, because ultimately I think they'd piss off very quickly, because they would hate being unable to do the things that they want to do with 49%. So, yeah, I want the 50+1, and it doesn't matter who the 49% is then, because they don't have control of the club. Hi Mark, a bit of tough topic, but how does your ideal future of Manchester United look? Says Didier. I think I've just described it there. To be fair. So just quickly, we sort of didn't finish up on Sancho. I won't believe it until Sancho's holding the shirt. I've said that before. Is there a good chance that he'll hold the shirt up? There is a good chance that he'll hold the shirt up. I think United, absolutely, and that letter showed it yesterday, they will be investing in the squad this summer. They've said they're going to invest in the squad this summer. It's a small line. It doesn't really matter in relation to the big picture, which is, I think there's protests on Thursday night again. And the Glazers out is very much at the forefront of most Manchester United fans, if not all Manchester United fans. But it wasn't lost on me, and I'm sure it wasn't lost on you, that letter did say they'll be investing in the squad this summer. And I think they will sign one marquee player. And you look at who that marquee player is going to be, and I think Sancho ticks all the boxes for what they want. Marketability, high profile, a player that we need. So I do think, and also a player that, as Romano said, as we knew, loads of work went into this deal last summer. He should be a United player now. He thought he was going to be last August, so did Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and it didn't happen. So I still think Sancho is highly likely, but I'm not going to start talking about 90%, and I'm not going to believe it till he's holding the shirt up. And look, yeah, he could end up at Chelsea. Of course he could. So, but it makes a lot of sense. It makes it does make a lot of sense. But look, I won't believe anything from Man United until it actually happens, and I think that's the way we should be. What if we protest the game on Tuesday to give the lads a break and recovery, says Yanash. It's yeah, that's at Old Trafford on Tuesday, isn't it, as well? I thought that was at Leicester, but I just remembered we played Leicester on Boxing Day, didn't we, at Leicester? So, yeah, I don't know why we wouldn't do it on Tuesday. And I don't know why. I suppose Liverpool's the bigger game, isn't it? Romero's still the best backup keeper in the Prem, says David Page. Look, on a totally separate note, I do think the treatment of Romero has been appalling by the club. I don't think it's anything to do with Ollie. From what I heard, he wanted to move last August, and United blocked it for some reason. And it's just been a mess, an absolute mess. It's because it's Liverpool, yes, Waydog. I think that is what it is. So yeah, it looks like that there could be a protest on Thursday, which is the Liverpool game. Obviously, we've got Aston Villa tomorrow, Leicester on Tuesday, and then Liverpool on Thursday. So it's going to be very interesting what he does with the team. I think we're nailed on to get top 4, aren't we? But I hope we can hold on to second place. Odd one, Mark. But if we do sign Sancho, what do you think happens with the number 7 and Cavani? He won't get the number 7. He won't get the number 7. I don't think Cavani will give the number 7 up, so he won't get the number 7. I think he will get it in the future, but I don't think they'll give him the number 7 shirt. Unless Cavani's like, I'm not really bothered about it. But look, you've got to do the deal. You've got to do the deal first. Advath makes a good point. Why did United give David De Gea £375,000 a week for 5 years when Henderson was going to come back after a couple of years? Yeah, piss poor planning, because I think we gave David De Gea this contract. Let me get my maths. Yeah, we gave David De Gea this contract when Henderson was on loan at Sheffield United doing really well. It was around, I think it was October time. So 18 months ago, we gave David De Gea this contract. 18 months ago, Dean Henderson was pulling up trees at Sheffield United. So yeah, it's not like we didn't know Dean Henderson had the potential to be a really good goalkeeper. On a 1 to 10, is Harry Kane a possibility, says Akshay. I mean, look, never say never with United, but why would you sign Harry Kane? We need a midfielder and a centre back more than we need a striker. Cavani's going to stay, and Harry Kane would cost 150 million. So why would you? I would say, why would we do it? Of course, we could do it. I think it's very low, but my question would be, why would you do it? If Cavani's left, yes, but if Cavani's staying, no, I don't see why we would do it, to be honest. I just wanted to mention this as well. Let me just get this reference correct, because I don't want to be wording this wrong. But just something to stick in your head a little bit here. This is from, I think it's from Marca. And what they're saying is that Real Madrid, Barcelona and Juventus have sent a harsh letter to those clubs who pulled out of the Super League, warning them of serious consequences if they formally leave the Super League and return to UEFA. The letter warns the clubs of breaches of obligations and urges them to reconsider their actions. There is also a slight dig at managers that the public announcements by the clubs and managers have caused significant damage to the partnership. So, look, Juventus, Barcelona, Real Madrid, desperate, absolutely desperate for this Super League to continue, because basically they've messed up their own domestic leagues. In my opinion, Barcelona and Real Madrid's greed has destroyed the La Liga. The Premier League's model, whilst it may not be perfect, has always been about fair distribution of the money. And this is why when a team gets relegated, they get parachute payments of tens of millions of pounds. So if you get relegated from the Premier League, the reason they bounce back so quick is because what they didn't want was a situation where, a Norwich come into the Premier League, they buy 5 or 6 players and they're paying them, 50, 60 grand a week. They get relegated and then they get stuck with players on 56 grand a week and they can't afford it. So the parachute payments are basically millions of pounds go to you when you're relegated. But it also means you can keep those players and gamble on coming back up again. So we distribute the money fairly in the Premier League. In La Liga, that doesn't happen as I understand it. In La Liga, the TV deals are disproportionately go to Real Madrid and Barcelona. But that's at the detriment of creating a very interesting and competitive league. And that's why the Premier League is the best league in the world. And this is why teams like Barcelona and Real Madrid and Juventus desperately needed the Super League, because they look at the Premier League and its success and go, we need a piece of that pie. Let's create a Super League. So they're desperate for it to happen. If this harsh letter has gone out, the best thing about letters is we've got a letter as well. We've got a letter from Joel Glazer yesterday saying that they regret the Super League. They're apologetic about it and that they won't allow something like that to happen again. So we're not going back into a Super League. Manchester United are not going back into a Super League because if you think the protests were bad now, imagine if they tried to take us back in after sending a letter out saying they're not going to do it. So United will never go back into a Super League. So Real Madrid and Barcelona and Juventus can talk about serious consequences, whatever they like. We're not going to go back into it. Man City are not going to go back into it. Chelsea are not going to go back into it. Liverpool won't go back into it. Maybe Arsenal would, I don't know. Maybe Man City would. Maybe bloody Atletico Madrid would. But 4 English clubs are never going to go back into it. So they can, you know what they can do with that letter? They can roll it up and smoke it. Because, you know, shame on our club for doing it. And if there are serious implications and we do get fined, then that's on the club, isn't it? But we won't be going back into it. If De Gea goes, who's Henderson's backup, says David Page? Well, there's talk of us bringing Sam Johnston back from West Brom as a backup goalkeeper. I think we should bring Ben Foster back. I'll be fuming if anyone even tries to buy Phil Jones or Juan, and don't they even dare try to buy Matic away from us. Everyone keep away. They're absolute beasts. At least 70 million on the table, says Whoop. Yeah, so I just want to mention this here. I wasn't aware of this skid, right? And I don't know how accurate it is. But I've been speaking to a few Villa fans over the last couple of weeks about Jack Grealish, because I keep saying, when's he going to play? When is he going to play? When is he going to play? And I keep hearing the same thing. Apparently, Jack Grealish has got problems with his shins, and he's had it for a long time. And this is why it flares up, and he ends up being out for a long time. And I was like, I really like Jack Grealish, and I think a lot of United fans do. But why would you buy a player for 70, 60 million pounds who you can't guarantee is going to play 75% of your season? And most of these Villa fans I've spoken to have said that he has got this problem. He's had it for a while and he's always going to have it. So would Grealish actually be a good signing if he's got that problem with injury? Now, I don't know how true that is, but if it's true, then, you know, it's a problem. And shin splints. I mean, I had shin splints when I was 15, and what it basically is, it's pain in your shin. And I think what it is, if I remember correctly, it's sort of little fractures in your shin. So you haven't broken your shin, but it's basically caused by. I remember Rob Jones at Liverpool, who was a right back. He had to retire because of it. And what it is I got them because one winter it rained a lot. And a lot of games got cancelled. And I used to play for a Saturday team, a Sunday team, on my school team. And when it got to April, there was such a backlog of fixtures. I was basically playing Saturday, Sunday. I was playing about 5 games a week to catch up on the games that would been and missed. And after about 3 weeks of it, playing on harder surfaces, I started getting these pains in my shin. And I'd be all right. I could play for about 45 minutes. And then second half, it would really hurt. I'd have to come off. And that shin splint. So you don't necessarily ever get over it. So Sakaria should be our CDM mark, says Ben. But I don't know whether that's true. I don't know whether that's true about Grealish. But if it is true, then maybe that's a reason that we shouldn't even be looking at him anyway. But having said that, we were definitely very close to buying him last summer. So, you know, you'd hope that United would have looked at that. Playing on hard surfaces. You're filthy. You're absolutely filthy. I meant like hard mud, not hardwood. Roll on the day we get rid of Maguire, says ViperX. You know what? You're always going to get people out in the chat. That's fine. I was doing the watch along for Chelsea versus Man City earlier, and someone says we need to get rid of Rashford. He's no way near United quality. And I was like, yeah, let's get rid of Rashford ahead of about 15 players who we've got in the squad that are, you know, Rashford's Man United quality. You should be building a team around him. If you ever go into the Super League, where will Ronaldo go? Yeah, but Sean, who are Juventus and Real Madrid and Barcelona going to go into a Super League with? Liverpool could get Sancho, yeah, Kazi, they could. Jack doesn't wear standard shin guards. His third shin injury so far, says high 5. And I wouldn't know. I mean, I must defend Maguire there. I wouldn't get rid of Maguire. My feelings on Maguire is that next season's his big season. It'll be season 3 for Maguire. And a little bit like a good Netflix season. You know, you get season 1, that's quite good. Season 2 is normally really good. And then season 3, it's like, right, can they sustain it? And I think Harry Maguire is a little bit like a Netflix box set. What is season 3 going to be like? Because I think over the first 2 seasons with Harry, there's been good bits and bad bits. But in season 3, especially as Manchester United captain and as a Manchester United centre-back, and as our best centre-back, then, you know, we need to be seeing... You know, you look at what I've seen at centre-back in my lifetime. I've seen people like Pallister, Steve Bruce, Jaap Stam, Rio Ferdinand, Nemanja Vidic. Harry Maguire needs to be touching those sort of greats. And at the moment, I don't think anybody would say he's anywhere near. So, season 3 for Maguire, we need to see a consistent one of the best centre-backs in Europe. And that's why next season is a big season for Maguire. And look, I would say, and I think when people talk about Lingard these days, they talk about, you know, he wasn't very good for 2 or 3 years, was he, after that, you know, 6 months of Messi Lingard. And then it all came out about mental health. And everyone was like, well, you know, mega rich footballer playing for Manchester United or not, mental health does not discriminate. It can impact on everybody. Well, let's not forget, Harry Maguire had that thing in Greece right before the start of the season, which would have been massive for anybody. So... he's had a challenging season, Maguire, this year, and I think it has been up and down. But in general, and I don't think he was good the other night, but to be fair, he was playing with Bailly, who I don't think he likes playing with, and he had Telles and Williams playing with him as well, who he never plays with. I think in general, since Christmas, Maguire has been good, and I think that if we could just get him a really good centre back, I think he'll be fine. But it's a big season for Harry next year, for more ways than one. Paul Maguire was our best centre-back. Him and Stan would have been awesome. Yeah, I mean, Paul Maguire was a fantastic centre-back that I never really saw for United because I was too young. I saw him at Villa. He was very good at Villa. And for Ireland, of course. You were going to talk about West Ham, Mark, was I? No, I wasn't. I was just saying that West Ham are a team that are in the race for top 4. And if they get top 4, I don't think we'll get Declan Rice. But just Jesse Lingard is... somebody mentioned this at the start. Pereira, Delot and Lingard. Pereira is still a United player. We need to get rid of him. Like, we cannot... I'd say Pereira and Delot are both the same. And probably Chong, to be fair. It's a shame with Chong. Because I always rated Chong. And I always thought that he would be a good player. And I used to rate Pereira. I thought he was going to be a good player. But in relation to Pereira and Delot, they cannot come back to United and be like... yeah, we're going to give them a chance. They've got to go. You know, they've got to go. They're not quality. They're not United quality. They've got to go. Mata and Matic, I think, have got to go this summer as well. So there could be quite a clear out. Especially, I mean, the sad thing is we could lose Matic, De Gea and Mata this summer. That's a lot of experience. It is. One way or another, it is a lot of experience, which is... you know, they could all go to Roma. Any ideas on how to encourage fans to not purchase the new kit? I'm across the pond and I think a lot of people here do not understand the situation, says Jude. Well, first of all, we need to know when the new kits are coming out. And I think there will be a coordinated campaign that everyone can get into on social media and stuff like that to not buy the kits. But as I said the other day, you know, you've got big social media accounts that I like, United accounts. And the other night, they're tweeting about Glazers out. And then the next tweet is, look at the new kit. And you're like... That literally makes no sense. Your last tweet's about Glazers out, and then your next tweet's, oh, look at the new United kit. That's like a Glazer out tweet and a Glazer in tweet. So, you know, I think there is a responsibility on everybody to try and stay united on these issues. Harry Maguire has been a good centre-back, but as a captain needs time to focus on his own game rather than anyone else's, says Sam. I think you make a good point there, Sam, to be fair. I do wonder whether Harry Maguire would be a better centre-back if he wasn't captain. I think he loves being captain of Manchester United, and I think, you know, he does a better job than people think, actually. I think, you know, there was a time, I think after the Sevilla game, I was like, he shouldn't be captain a year ago. He shouldn't be captain. Why is he captain? Give it to Bruno. And I still would give it to Bruno, but I wonder if Maguire didn't have the captaincy, and you can't take it away from him now, because that could have a really bad impact on him. But if we'd never given him the captaincy, would he be a better centre-back? Because I've been a captain, I'm sure some of you have been a captain as well, but it's logical. if you're the captain, you're not thinking about your own game as well. You're thinking about everybody else's game. You're thinking about the team. You've got to be talking to the ref. You've got to be organising. Whereas if you're not the captain, you just focus on your own game. So I've always got a lot of time for a captain because they're doing two jobs. And it's a hard thing. It suits some people perfectly. They can do their playing job and their captain job perfectly. But it's difficult because you're not just focusing on you. You're focusing on the team as well. Vidic and Rio were so good that we used to laugh off even Rio's bad passing and own goals. Can't see that ever happening with these lots, says Punnett. Yeah, well, you're talking about two of the greatest centre-backs United have ever had there. Mark, which dead players do you think will stay for next season? That's from Jayling's fam. Mate, look, you can say that Man United are going to sign Sancho, and I'll say I won't believe it till he holds the shirt up. I'll also say that I will not give you any players that will leave United this summer. The ones that scare me are De Gea, Pogba. I don't want either of them to go. I really don't. But when it comes to the players that we probably want to go, you know, your Pereiras, your Lingards, your Matters, your Matic, your Phil Jones, your Dalot, I wouldn't be surprised if they're all here next season because I don't trust United to do deals that need to be done. And look, I don't want all those players to go because I think they're shit. I just think Lingard hasn't got a future at United, so cash in. I think Mata and Matic, I like them both, but they're not. They don't offer anything now, so let them go. Pereira, Dalot and Jones, I just don't think they're good enough. So, but I don't trust the club to actually move them on. Message to all Man United fans, says Andre. Each and every time you are praising a decision taken by the club, you are praising the decision taken by Joel Glazer. And if you could choose between either sending McTominay to prison and United buying a proper CDM or use McFred for the next 5 years without buying a CDM. Whoop, that's just crazy. I can't send McTominay to prison. It'd be like sending the A-team to prison for a crime they didn't commit. It'd be breaking out of prison. Scooby-Doo! So I'm not going to send McTominay to prison just so I can have a proper CDM. I'm sure many of you would, but I don't want McTominay in prison. It's not fair. So I'd stick with McFred for 5 years to stop Scott going into prison because I couldn't sleep at night knowing that he'd gone to prison for 5 years so we can have a CDM. So no, I wouldn't do that. Problem with letting the Deadwood go is that we won't replace them with quality, says PT. Well, the evidence is there that we like to keep the Deadwood because it's cheaper to keep the Deadwood than to evolve. What somebody just said there, what's happening with Maguire? Because he could go to prison. I don't know. That Greece thing. I'm sure I don't know what's happening with that. I don't know, and I'm not going to comment on it. I mean, there's no. I would hope that it's all going to go away. Really, you know, what's the term? No news is good news. So hopefully it will all go away. I can't even remember what happened. Did they charge him or something? I can't remember what happened with it. But there's nothing been mentioned about it for a while. So hopefully it's sort of all gone away now. Manchester United has had the least losses in the Premier League this season. Yeah, look, in the Premier League we've only lost Sheffield United, Arsenal, Spurs and Crystal Palace. So 2 of our losses were in the first 3 games of the season when we weren't match fit. Arsenal was to a penalty. And Sheffield United, we never should have lost that. So if you look at the games we've lost this season, and this goes to say, this is something else, right? This is something else I'm going to face up to right now, right? I saw somebody digging out a tweet of mine from 2 years ago, which I think is always really sad. I think it's really sad to go and, you know, put out an opinion from 2 years ago because, oh my God, like 2 years ago, of course your opinion's going to change. You've got 2 years of facts and evidence to refer to. But basically what I was saying is that Lampard has a clear footballing philosophy that I actually quite like. And this was from 2 years ago. Whereas Ollie, I don't think he has a philosophy at the moment. We can't see it. Now that's getting criticised now, but I still stand by that. Like Lampard's style of football when he came and played us with Derby against Mourinho was the same as when he played us with Chelsea. I could see what he was trying to do. I could see that he wanted his players to move the ball quickly. It was about pass and move and trying to create chances with a high tempo. Ultimately, it didn't work. He got the sack, right? He did. But his style of football, from what I saw, was quite pleasing on the eye. Now, Ollie's style of football, over the last 2 years, I've got to be honest, I want Ollie to do well, you all know that. But I'm still an Ollie doubter. I still don't know whether he's going to take us where we need to be. But this is a case in point. We've only lost 4 games this season. How many games have we won this season by 1 goal? We are a team, as we know, that are very hard to beat because we play Maguire and Lindelof and we put McFred in front of them and we took our fullbacks in. And that makes us very hard to beat. We don't concede many goals, so we're not going to score. We're not going to concede many games. We're not going to concede. We're not going to lose many games. We've also got people like Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford, Edison Cavani, Mason Greenwood, Paul Pogba, who are very good players who, in a moment, can win you a game. So, but hand on heart, do we play entertaining football? When you watch Man City against Chelsea today and they're both moving the ball quickly from back to front, do we do that? And the answer is no, we don't. We are not playing a consistent, good brand of football. And everybody knows that. So don't try and criticise me for saying that I don't know what Ollie's philosophy is, because I still don't know what it is. Because I still don't see a consistent, entertaining style of football. What I see is a team that goes out in a very pragmatic way, not to get beat, and then use its better players for moments, which is fine, and it's been very, very good. But I think what we have seen over recent weeks is an evolution. I think what we are seeing is that Cavani is now getting more chances. And I think over the last 3 or 4 weeks, and I've been mentioning this on the preview as well, I think over the last 3 or 4 weeks, we have started to see an evolution in the way that we're playing. We have started to see a different Manchester United, because we were playing with Bruno, Greenwood, Rashford, Cavani. Cavani was getting no service and Bruno was getting swamped. What we're now seeing is Bruno, Pogba, Cavani, Rashford, or Bruno, Pogba, Cavani, Greenwood. And we're suddenly making a lot more chances for Cavani, because Bruno can't get swamped when we've got Pogba with him, because the opposition are like, we can't swamp Bruno because Pogba's free, and we can't swamp Pogba because Bruno's free. So there's more space. So I actually think the positive thing is that we are playing a better brand of football in the last few weeks since we've put Pogba up there with Bruno, and we're not playing with 2 wide forwards. We're playing with 2 cams and Cavani and a wide forward. The next bit of the evolution is to bring a CDM in, then you can play a McTominay or a Van der Beek or a Pogba next to him with freedom, and a centre-back who gets us further up the pitch. So the evolution of Ollie hasn't actually happened yet, but the steps are there. But I still don't think we play, and I'd argue with this anybody. I back Ollie, I love Ollie, I want him to be successful, he deserves his new contract, and I think we'll win the Europa League final, and I think we'll get second place. But I'd still argue that we don't play a consistent, entertaining, attacking style of football. We play a very pragmatic style of football. And if you want to argue that and say that I'm talking out my arse, that's fine, but I will point to a lot of games, even this season, where we have played quite pragmatically. But we don't lose many games, because you're not going to lose many games when you've got 2 centre-backs with 2 full-backs tucking in and 2 CDMs in front of them and 2 very good goalkeepers. We are organised not to get beat. And I don't blame Ollie for doing that. And I think that when you look at the game on Thursday against Roma, as much as I don't like McFred, you can understand why he does it, because he hasn't got 1 player to play CDM, so he picks 2. And it makes us very hard to beat. And I tell you what, I'm very excited about the next few days, because we are not going to see Magaluf, McFred and the same 11 for 3 games. He's going to have to change things up. And it'll be interesting to see what he does tomorrow lunchtime against Villa when the team news comes out. Does he go with his first 11 for Villa, put a reserve team out against Leicester, and then go first team against Liverpool? Or does he start mixing up one with the other? Personally, and I don't know what you would do, personally, I would like to see the strongest team play tomorrow, not play at all on Tuesday, and then the strongest team play against Liverpool. Because I think Leicester are so bad at the moment that we might be able to beat them with our reserves anyway. Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you smash a like on the video. Please subscribe if you're new. Massive shout out to Jude, who is our latest member. You'll get your little badge next to your name. Hey Jude. And also to David Page, who's a member as well. What do you think about De Ligt? He's a good player, De Ligt. I don't know whether he's got the speed to play with Maguire. I think they would not complement each other that well. I think De Ligt's a bit like Maguire He needs a quicker centre-back next to him. But very, very good. Please subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. AJ Singh, shout out, member as well. And to Ronit. You can do that by clicking the join button. And to Jude, and to Brandon, and to Mr. Frederico. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash the like on the video. No Grand Theft Auto tonight. It's back tomorrow night. And I will speak to you all in a little bit. Thanks for watching.